A little over 2 years ago now, I made a video on Kendrick Lamar, and then he dropped Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers right after that, so I reviewed that album. And then I made a video on Travis Scott, and then he dropped Utopia, so I reviewed that one too. And for today, I had already made a video on Kanye West. It was actually the first video in my ranking series on this channel, but now he's in his Vultures trilogy bag with Ty Dolla Sign, so this is going to serve as my review of that album. And I was going to wait for the other two to come out before making this, but at this point, that could honestly just be never, so I figured why not now. So just jumping right in, starting with the first song, we got Stars. This one's alright. It honestly kind of sounds like a throwaway from Donda. I like the gospel undertones, and of course Kanye almost never misses with his iconic drums. Them Johns hit on this one. Stars sets the stage, it sets the tone, it's thematic with his iconic stadium status style, but nothing I'm going absolutely head over heels over, you know? I think Ty Dolla Sign definitely thrives in this specific sound with his singing. It does work really well. But next we have Keys to My Life, which honestly was the first time I felt this absolute wave of mid rush over me. The song is structured into 3 different parts, kind of like a Ty Dolla Sign sandwich with the Kanye bread. And let me tell you, man, that bread is just moldy. I don't really get the production choice here. It feels so unrhythmically sound. There's all these reversed and chopped up audio bites that are just not sonically appealing at all, and it only gets worse as the song progresses. It delves into the idea revolving around unhealthy relationships. So Kanye's first verse kicks us off with the unfortunate glimpse of what it looked like for him walking into his house to see his ex-wife with another man. So his last verse flips the switch and transitions his motives towards his new wife, talking about some, I want to give you the keys to my life now. So, I mean, overall, this one is just straight dog, I can't lie. And then Paid manages to take an even more unfortunate descent in quality and hits us with this sorry excuse for lazy songwriting that not even Drake would even bother making. Now, I'm not one for hating on bad lyrics, clearly, or even repetitive choruses, but this song just takes all those a step further and only makes me more disappointed at the fact that this is the musical genius the world has to offer. Can we at least try and make it seem like we're enjoying the work that we're doing instead of just blatantly admitting that, oh, this is just purely business. I'm just waiting for that check on Friday. And mind you, this is coming from a Kanye fan. I love his music. I'm just not going to eat up every single thing the man puts out. I still have standards, you know? Thankfully, we have Talking next, which is actually a really wholesome collab with his daughter, Northwest. I rock with this one heavy. I mean, I think both parts slap, and that North could body Adonis on any track, anywhere, anytime. I will bet on that. Back to Me is personally my favorite track to have come out of this little collection of music here. I think it does a really good job at balancing both being raunchy yet hilarious at the same time, and I love the aggressiveness that comes with the Freddie Gibbs feature. Kanye and Ty Dolla Sign both delivered their best here. I mean, I'll be lying if I said I wasn't bumping this nonstop when it first came out. I thought I disliked Hood Rat for taking a portion out of Kanye's vault that is his hot, steaming pile of annoying samples. But as the incessant echoes meshed together with the drums over time, it kind of low-key became a bit of an earworm. It does overstay its welcome just a little bit, given at how repetitive it becomes, but overall not that bad. You know how I just said Back to Me balances its raunchiness with its comedy pretty well? Well, Do It doesn't do that, and instead rather insists on constantly talking about sex in great detail, bro. Y'all are well into your 40s. Why are y'all still talking like this? It's so explicit. After this song and seeing Dolla Sign's 2014 XXL freestyle, bro, he's kind of low-key freaky with it. The production kicks off pretty strong, but the song gets pretty old pretty fast. And by the time I get to the YG part, I'm already just ready to skip to the next one. And when I do skip it, we reach Paperwork, which is a decently hard-hitting cut that has a fun Quavo feature. If Hood Rat had this song's duration, I'd probably come around to listening to it more, which is honestly what I think this song does best. It's catchy and short, and it knows not to take any drastic turn or experiment around to pretend like it's making some sort of musical statement, which hearing me say that is honestly pretty saddening because that's what I think Kanye does best. He doesn't live inside some box, and he's always pushing the boundaries. But after some of these previous songs I just mentioned, I think my expectations for him has just seriously decreased significantly. Here on this song, for example, I hear him clipping to overdrive these amplified waveforms to make that loud and abrasive noise, but then I remembered that this is the same guy who made Yeezus or 808s, and I'm just like, bruh, this stuff is too simple he's putting out now. I mean, maybe I just need to let go of the past. I know this has clearly been an ongoing discussion for the better part of a decade now, considering the fact that he's even made a whole song about it. But I digress. Just to pop these two next ones out the way, we have Burn and then F-Some. Burn is a fan favorite of the bunch. It's nice. It's the shortest song, yet the one that has seemed to have stood out the most with such an entrancing vibe to it. It just makes me want to walk on the beach and just chill, you know? And then, I mean, I don't have that much to say about F-Some. Just the fact that Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks just absolutely carried this entire album on its back. Moving on, we have Vultures. Vultures. Vultures is not only the worst song on this album, this is easily and by far the worst song Kanye has ever put out in his career, by far. Most of the time when I don't even like a song, I can kind of understand why some might defend it. I mean, I remove myself from the situation and take more of an objective perspective to see why someone might think the way they do. I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, this is why it resonates with them. But with Vultures, bro, this song, I can't even fathom how someone can defend this. It's actually so funny at how bad this song is. I heard it when it came out as a single, and it genuinely almost made me not want to listen to the album at all. Thankfully, the rest of the track list wasn't to this degree, but golly, this song is actual booty cheeks. But after hearing Vultures, there was a song that was performed that did make me pretty hopeful for this album's release, and that, of course, was Carnival. It's pretty crazy to me, the quality difference here and how these songs are just back to back. That is just an absurd testament to how all over the place Vultures 1 is. And this was a time before the TikTok Riz Party incident of 2024 occurred and the group leader in Turkish Quandale Dingle took over the internet. So I have some grace period here when I enjoyed the song to its full extent. But I mean, now we live in a time where we can't really do that anymore. So that's just tough, man. Beg Forgiveness is pretty boring. It's a cover of the song Gabriel by Joe Godard, or Godard, I don't really know how to pronounce it. And I think Kanye here is just using it as a form of communicating to his oppositions that they should seek some sort of reconciliation with him at some point or another. Because if they don't, they're gonna regret it. The latter part pretty much confirms this as Kanye adds his own spin to the song, saying stuff like, I will wait, or make amends before I go. I don't know, it kind of comes across to me as pretty desperate, even with the whole gospel masquerade thing going on with all these biblical undertones. I mean, personally, as a follower of Christ myself, I just don't mess with it. Like, if you want closure, just be the bigger person, bro, and go up to these people or these companies and do it yourself. Like, don't wait on them because, at least to me, it seems like it's taking more of a toll on you rather than anyone else. They shouldn't be the ones crawling to you because if we really should be begging for forgiveness, the only opinion that we should really be caring about is God's, not yours, goofy. I don't know why Good Don't Die got removed off streaming platforms, but it's got a pretty cute message about how despite some dark thoughts one can have about their own demise, seeing the smile of your significant other can just make it all go away. It sounds honestly like something that would come off of 808s and Heartbreak. Problematic brought back that old school soul sampling that I like, but the lyrics just keep reminding me that we're not in the college dropout days anymore. That is long gone. And considering just how he's just made his problematic tendencies his identity here, and there are some horrible one-liners about like over-sexualizing women, including his own wife. Like stuff like that, man. I don't know. This is a skip from me. And then we finally wrap things up with King, this pretty little bow wrapping up this whole mess of a parade. It defends the same idea I had just previously talked about, just owning who he is despite how negative the press coverage on him gets. The whole thing sounds so self-indulgent and conceited, but even if you live under a rock, you would still know that this is nothing new when it comes to this guy. But that's even the thing here. When I say this guy, we all know who I'm talking about. And this could be a good segue into my overall thoughts on the whole project, not just these individual songs. But this is not a collab album. This is just a Kanye album with some Ty Dolla Sign features thrown into the mix. I don't know why Kanye couldn't have just made this himself. Like, he's had experience with collab albums in the past and where they've both worked really well together to create an evened out body of work, bouncing ideas off each other, inspiring one another, just getting the best out of each other. But here it's just like 80% Kanye and 20% Ty Dolla Sign. I mean, I know he's cool with him in person, but like, what was the reason? I mean, I guess we get a pretty good reason for his inclusion from the song Paid, but besides that, I wonder if the other two Vultures albums will be the same. I mean, at this point, if you couldn't already tell, I do think that this is by far and easily the worst material he's put out in his career thus far. I won't call it absolute trash because you saw I do think that there are some pretty good songs in here, but speaking for the album as a whole, like a collective, it is a mess. And I really do hate to be critical and negative about, one of my favorite artists, but I just can't ignore it, Like, I've been saying this for years now. I really do think he should have retired right after Donda came out. I think that is a perfect place to close, a great album to end on. We start off with his rise to fame with his phenomenal Graduation trilogy, the grief he felt when losing his mom, his triumphant magnum opus, some off-the-wall left-field plays that encompass the greatest hits we've heard in the 2010s, a genuine depiction of his depressive bipolar state, the rekindling of his walk with God, and a final statement about his spirituality and his mindset dedicated to his mom. 10 albums. What a great number to end on, too. I mean, yeah, of course, I completely understand everyone's perspective. Like, I want an artist I love and respect to keep putting out music, yes. But eventually, it's just going to reach a point where there's a huge downward spiral that just can't be overlooked and will always be attached to the reputation of that artist. And I think Vultures here is a perfect example, giving us a glimpse at that descent. This album is bad. It doesn't even make sense in his overall timeline, like considering that this extremely explicit album came out after his release of Jesus is King, a seemingly newfound love he's embraced when taking his relationship with God seriously, and even Donda, an album he went out of his way to make clean. Like, I don't know, stuff like this just rubs me the wrong way, and it doesn't make me look forward to the rest of the work he has yet to put out. I personally think he should retire, or if you disagree, even at least take a long break and just work on himself because he clearly needs help. But, I mean, that was my review of Kanye West and Ty Dolla Sign's Vultures 1. I'll make more when the other two come out. I think I do want to make more album reviews because I've been listening to a lot of albums recently. So, yeah, be on the lookout for those, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.